very much. Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hansel, as Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, you would be responsible for the overall security of classified information. And recent reporting has highlighted that foreign governments are increasingly trying to exploit recently fired probationary federal employees for classified information. And as you know, some of those probationary employees have actually worked for DOD for some period of time. If they were promoted, they go to the probationary status. And our national security secrets are more at risk now because, this is my view on this, because of this administration's sledgehammer approach to our federal workforce. And this is not about the loyalty of our civilian service, but rather about the careless manner in which they were being fired. And while this isn't a new problem, this administration's actions have made it a bigger one. So already we were aware of an ongoing effort by the PRC to contact and recruit members of the U.S. military to learn how our military operates so effectively in certain areas. Certainly combat aviation is one of those. And we have an edge because of our training and our tactics and our long history, especially in combat aviation, but in other areas as well. We should not be making this information available to our adversaries. So last year I introduced a piece of legislation called the No Work with Adversaries Act with Senator Cotton to help try to tackle this problem, and I'm going to be introducing this legislation again next year. So if confirmed, Mr. Hansel, how do you plan to shore up our military's defenses and ensure service members and DOD civilians are alerted to the threat that's out there from the PRC and our adversaries?
I appreciate the question, Senator, and I'm certainly aware of the magnitude and breadth of TTPs and the agility of the TTPs being used by our adversaries, namely Chinese espionage in this situation, and specifically very aware of the legislation you've introduced regarding training of some of our fighter aircraft pilots. From outside in, not yet having been in the department, I would say it is my hypothesis that most veterans and service members don't have any malice intent. I bet the bad apples are far and few between, and I think this is an example where we need to have clear guidance that's understood by service members and develop the tools that enable them to navigate the commercial space at a speed of relevance. I am very concerned about the department's ability in foci identification and mitigation along a slew of variables in the industrial base, but this would be a perfect example. Reading the legislation about not only pass-through entities, but the amount of subsidy that triggers the legislation is something that I think we have a burden to provide the service members the tools to do the right thing, which I think is their natural instinct.
Yeah, I agree with you. Most service members do not have any intent to share information, though just the right person with the right knowledge can do significant damage to our national security. I think it's also important that everybody understands that the risk is out there, and the PRC is actively trying to recruit. My understanding is there have been times where, folks think they're working for, one company, and they're actually working for the PRC. So getting the information out there is incredibly important, so I hope you work with us on that. Mr. Williams, recent efforts to eliminate federal workers and contractors could have significant consequences for NNSA's mission. So how do you assess the impact of potential workforce reductions on stockpile sustainment, non-proliferation, and modernization programs? And briefly, I don't want to go over my 30 seconds.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Senator, and thanks also for working with me on NEPA reform issues under the NDAA. I think it was a little over a year ago. If confirmed, I will speak up for the men and women of the NNSA and advocate for them. I think we know how critical they are to restoring our nuclear deterrence, our nuclear weapons enterprise. And so all of the discussions about personnel, we're rising to meet a historic demand right now. I think innovation is key to that. I think efficiency is key to that. But we need the specialized workforce that has been developed at NNSA.
All right, and I encourage you to push back against any further cuts to our NNSA workforce when it could undermine especially the nuclear security mission. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Senator Kelly. Senator Slotkin.